Hello, I'm Dr. Peter Shields, Deputy Director of the Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center. I'm a professor in the Division of Medical Oncology and an oncologist at the James Cancer Hospital and Solove Research Institute. I'm also co-director of Ohio State University's Center of Excellence in Regulatory Tobacco Science, which I'll tell you more about shortly. I'm here to talk to you today about my research, the prevention of lung cancer and other cancers, and how these all relate to tobacco use. First, let's be clear. Tobacco is the world's leading cause of cancer and of cancer-related deaths. It's also the most preventable cause of avoidable premature death. Each year, almost 6 million people worldwide die of tobacco-related causes. 80% of these deaths are in low and middle-income countries. Cigarettes are the most common tobacco product used worldwide. Nearly 20% of the world's adult population, almost 800 million men and 200 million women, smoke cigarettes. In some countries, almost 60% of men smoke. Cigars, pipes, bidis, Creedix, and water pipes are other ways that tobacco is smoked. In the United States, 46.5 million Americans currently smoke. 64% of Americans have tried smoking. 26% of men and 21% of women smoke. In some parts of our country, more than 40% of men smoke. These are huge numbers. Cigarettes are really designed to deliver nicotine. Nicotine is a powerful drug that stimulates certain pleasure centers in the brain. It increases mood in a positive way, eases anxiety, makes some people feel less depressed, helps other people think clearer, helps some people with their decreased appetite. But these positive effects are offset significantly by all the harm in tobacco smoking. Nicotine is highly addictive, and cigarettes really become devices designed to transfer money from your pocket to the pockets of the tobacco industry and actually to the medical industry as well. Of course, when people draw tobacco smoke into their lungs, they take in more than just nicotine. That smoke is a mix of thousands of compounds, including more than 70 chemicals that are known, probable, or possible human carcinogens. They include tobacco-specific nitrosamines, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, aromatic amines, plutonium, and other metals. As cigarette smoke is taken in, these chemicals bathe the cells that line the lung, but also the mouth, the throat, and elsewhere. The chemicals get into the bloodstream and enter the cells where they can damage the cell's DNA and cause other damage. Smoking increases the risk of lung cancer on average 5 to 10-fold, but in many recent studies, as much as 20-fold or higher. In developed countries, smoking is responsible for about 80% or more of all lung cancers. Here in the United States, at least 1 in 10 heavy smokers develop lung cancer during their lifetime. Of course, from smoking, almost everybody gets sick one way or another. Men who smoke have a 27 times higher rate of oral cancer than non-smokers. In addition, smoking raises a person's risk of other cancers, and here's why. As those chemicals get to the lungs, they go into the bloodstream. They're carried throughout the body, and they get to cells of other organs where they cause additional types of damage. Smoking causes lung cancer, as I've said, but it also causes cancer of the larynx, the voice box, the oral cavity, the pharynx to the back of the throat, the esophagus, the tube that carries food to the stomach, the pancreas, the bladder, the kidney, the cervix, the stomach, liver, colorectal cancer, and some leukemias. But it's not just cancer. Tobacco smoking also raises the risk of numerous other diseases that cause premature death. Heart disease, emphysema, lung diseases, hypertension, stroke, and diabetes. It causes birth defects, skin to wrinkle. There are many bad side effects from tobacco smoking. Tobacco smoke also endangers those who live and work around smokers. The smoke that smokers draw into their lungs is called mainstream smoke. But a burning cigarette also emits the side stream smoke into the room, and other people can inhale that secondhand smoke. Side stream or secondhand smoke also raises the risk of cancer, especially of the lung, and other diseases for the family members exposed to it. Now let's talk about smokeless tobacco. Smokeless tobacco is another means for delivering nicotine to the body. It has many varieties, including snuff, spit tobacco, chewing tobacco, and betel quid or pan. When smokeless tobacco is tucked into the cheek and mixes with the saliva, for example, or when it's sniffed into the nostrils, Chemicals and nicotine leach from the tobacco and enter the delicate blood vessels that lie beneath the moist lining of the mouth and nose and then cause harm. Smokeless tobacco exposes the body to more than 3,000 compounds, and some 28 are also known probable or possible carcinogens. These include N-nitrosamines, volatile aldehydes, formaldehyde, acetaldehyde, crotonaldehyde, hydrazine, arsenic, nickel, cadmium, benzopyrene, polonium, and others. Smokeless tobacco clearly causes cancers of the mouth, throat, and pancreas. It may also contribute to hypertension and heart disease. It also addicts the users to nicotine and leads to the transfer of money from the pocket to the users of the tobacco industry as well as the medical industry. Now let's talk about electronic cigarettes, or electronic nicotine delivery systems. These are the newest of the tobacco industry's nicotine delivery devices. Basically, they consist of a device that has a battery and a heating element. The heating element heats a carrier that's either composed of propylene glycol or glycerol. That carrier also has the nicotine, and there are lots of flavorings. So what are the concerns about electronic cigarettes? Well, there's a lot. First of all, currently, more kids in the United States are now trying and experimenting with electronic cigarettes than regular cigarettes. Is that going to lead them as a gateway to smoking? Are the flavors sucking them in so that they end up start smoking more? Or, as some people may argue, do they decrease the amount of kids who will become smokers because they won't transition to dirty tasting cigarettes? However, there is a concern about nicotine on developing brains and what happens if these kids get nicotine addicted. All over the internet, you hear that electronic cigarettes help people stop smoking. That may or may not be true. That may or may not be true for individuals. Research studies will show that. They may be too much like smoking so that people relapse too easily, or maybe, as Wall Street predicts, they are the disruptive technology and the end game to tobacco. Only time will tell with good research questions. Some of these questions are users exposed to harmful chemicals that lead to health effects, such as lung and other cancers, how consumers use these devices to help quit smoking, to start smoking, and to switch to cigarettes. Another is whether their use delays or undermines smoking cessation. Another question is whether they entice former smokers to resume smoking. And as I mentioned, are they going to serve as a gateway for kids to new smokers? In the United States, 80% of people who smoke begin before the age of 18, and 22% before the age of 13. So nicotine addiction, if you will, is a disease of adolescence. Young people are drawn to smoking and other tobacco products by industry advertising campaigns where tobacco ads are permitted, by using celebrity endorsements, cartoon mascots, fruit and candy flavors, and the depiction of smoking and tobacco use in films and television programs. This is augmented by the home environment and our cultural acceptance of smoking. In 2009, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, began regulating the manufacture, marketing, and distributing of tobacco products in the United States to protect the public health. To help set sound scientific policies by the FDA and the National Cancer Institute, they jointly awarded Ohio State nearly $19 million to establish a Center for Excellence in Regulatory Tobacco Science. We want the FDA to get this right. I co-direct this center with Dr. Mary Ellen Wiewers, Professor of Health Behavior and Health Promotion in Ohio State's College of Public Health. The Tobacco Center at Ohio State is one of 14 such national centers. Our center includes 18 researchers studying why and how people use particular tobacco products, how the products are designed and promoted, what barriers people face when attempting to quit use, and what toxicity there is from these products. So now let's talk about quitting. It's important that people who use tobacco quit. Quitting at any age is a big benefit, even if you're a cancer patient or have some other terminal illness. While it is true that some people just stop smoking or using smokeless tobacco and never go back, they quit cold turkey, so to speak, most people do have some assistance. There are proven ways to help someone quit. Here are some ideas that might help you or someone you know quit tobacco. You only need one reason. First, it is often helpful to identify your reasons for quitting. There are many reasons why people quit smoking or using smokeless tobacco. You may want to avoid health problems. You want to prove you can do it. You want to please someone you care about, a wife or a girlfriend, or a husband or a spouse. To set a good example for kids or other kids, maybe it's just to save money, or because it's banned at work or school and it's getting harder and harder to find places you could smoke. It may be that your physician or dentist told you have to quit, especially because you're developing health problems. Once you resolve to quit, make a quit plan. This may be with or without help, but generally we recommend at least some form of counseling, for example, calling a quit line. Choose a quit date in the near future. Cut back before you quit by tapering down your tobacco use. When tobacco cravings begin, delay acting on it and increasing that delay more and more. Learn your triggers and avoid them. Avoid those situations, whether it's being around smokers or understanding what happens when you first wake up in the morning. Identify those moments in your life that trigger a desire to use tobacco. Other things may be meals, working out, driving, when you're at work. Try to change your routine to avoid them as much as possible. Remove the cigarettes from your home, car, or work. Avoid drinking alcohol if that's one of your triggers. To satisfy cravings, stock up on items that can substitute tobacco, such as sugar-free gum or sunflower seeds. Or use proven ways to help you quit, such as short-acting nicotine, gums, or lozenges or nasal sprays. Get your teeth cleaned. Avoid friends who smoke or use smokeless tobacco. Rally a team of friends and family members who will support you to keep busy with them. Again, use telephone quit lines and counselors. Remember, smoking and nicotine addiction is tough to quit. You need help, and you're not a victim for doing this. You might experience nicotine withdrawal symptoms. These can make you feel irritable, tense, restless, or impatient. To deal with these symptoms, you can walk them out or walk away from the situation. Deep breathing and exercise can help you feel better. Some forms of nicotine replacement therapy, such as the lozenges, gum, or nasal spray, may help. Ask others to be patient with you. Some people complain of constipation or irregularity. Add fiber to your diet. Eat whole grains and breads and cereals, fruits and vegetables. Some people have issues with weight gain. To control the hunger and avoid this, eat regular meals and remember that feeling hungry is sometimes mistaken for the desire to smoke, dip, or chew. Drink lots of water. Increase physical activity to increase metabolism. If you desire sweets, reach instead for those low-calorie sweet snacks like apples, sugar-free gums, or candies. There are other ways to help you quit. Get help. Counseling. Maybe you need more counseling than what you've had. Nicotine replacement therapy, especially using a patch and adding a gum, nasal spray, and a lozenge. If you're a smoker, it's unlikely that you're going to overdose from nicotine. Use as much as you need to help you quit. There are other drugs on the market that you need a prescription for, such as Chantix, known as varenicline, or Zyban, known as bupropion. But talk to your doctor or your counselor for what could work for you. And understand that sometimes you may need to try multiple times before success. You may need the same thing a few times before it really works. If you slip and have a cigarette, that's okay. That's not failing. Nicotine addiction is tough to quit. But as you get closer and closer to quitting and you're away from cigarettes more and more, you'll have more success. It's most important to avoid places or behaviors that trigger a craving for tobacco. Don't rationalize why it's okay to try it again. Finally, if you relapse and start smoking regularly, don't be discouraged. Make a new quitting plan, maybe change it a bit. Use one that addresses why you relapsed and what did not work. Be positive. At the end of the day, smoking is killing just way too many of us, as are other tobacco products. We need to reduce this epidemic.